The Prime Minister may have received support for standing up to the EU after the humiliation of Salzburg, but the Chuck Chequers campaign hasn't gone away, with Brexiteers holding a Stop Brexit betrayal rally later today.
Well, joining us live from Westminster is a Guido Fawkes reporter and former leader of the students' wing of Votes Leave, Tom Harwood. Tom, good morning to you. Thanks for joining us.
Good morning.
Do you think the country is more or less divided than at the time of the referendum?
I think that's a tricky question to answer. I think it's less divided today than it was yesterday after Theresa May's speech, because actually it's quite nice to finally see some standing up to the appalling way in which our country's leaders were treated just at the summit earlier this week. I think in many ways we're probably more united in terms of getting on board that Team GB, trying to come together and get a deal for Britain. And so really, while there are still the people that hunker down in their bunkers who will not accept the result of the referendum, most people in the country just want the government to get on with it.
So what is your message today at the rally that's being staged? So
basically, this rally is all about the idea that the EU has not been treating the UK fairly, that the UK has offered concession after concession after concession, and they really haven't been treated with any sort of seriousness by the EU. It's time to chuck checkers. It's time to say, look, we're going to offer you a bold, comprehensive free trade agreement based on mutual recognition of goods and standards. And then we can move forward as friendly partners. I think it's really a betrayal of the referendum result to say that we'll continue taking EU laws, that the European Court of Justice will continue to have jurisdiction over the UK. That's not what people voted for. And I think really the belligerent attitude of the EU will have brought people around to the idea that the Chequers proposals, whilst they were made in good faith, really aren't going to work both for the EU and the UK. We're going to move forward on a Canada plus model, and really we need the government to accept this reality that's going to happen.
The Prime Minister said that she's going to stick to the Chequers plan. She's going to stick to her guns. So where do you go from here? Where do we go from here?
Well, I think we need to recognise that the Prime Minister has backed herself into a bit of a corner. And I think that really what will happen over the next few weeks is a gentle pivot. Away from Chequers, there'll be a refresh and a rethink. And we're going to move slightly more towards that Canada plus model that we really want to. The government needs to have a bit more of a backbone. The backbone that Theresa May actually showed yesterday in terms of saying that the EU have politicised the Northern Ireland border issue, that this doesn't have to be an issue, that checks don't have to happen on the border, that we're not going to create infrastructure on the border, that Ireland have said they're not going to create infrastructure on the border, that the EU wouldn't dare to create infrastructure on the border.
But what the EU says, Tom, is that the onus is on us because it was the United Kingdom that voted to leave the European Union.
And the United Kingdom put a proposal on the table yesterday, a few days ago. The EU rejected that out of hand. The onus is now on the EU to come up with a counter-proposal. That's how negotiations work. You put forward proposals, you can't have a negotiation where one party just says no. That's not a good faith way to conduct a negotiation. And if that's happening, we should just leave with no deal. That's always on the cards, and we should not be afraid to enact that.
Why would the EU accept a deal that protects our services industry, which is, 80% of the UK economy?
They have deals with other countries around the world, for example, Ukraine, that divide the single market in this way. Nothing that the UK proposed was unprecedented. Really, the EU is treating the UK in a different way than it's treating other countries. It's being inconsistent for entirely political purposes. We can see right through that, and they should stop playing games and negotiate properly.
Tom, from Guido Fawkes, thank you.